What's up, guys? This is Brave. I'm back to review another show, which is going to be The Best Man Final Chapters. I must say I was quite impressed with this series because this could have went left real quick. Y'all know there has been a huge amount of reboots, but this was just like a continuation. Everybody looked good. I was supporting this, okay? And also, the storylines were pretty interesting. So, let's go ahead and break down what happened on The Best Man Final Chapters. Alright, first things first. I did not realize that we were going to be starting off in 2015. I really thought that they were going to pick up in like 2020, 2021, see where everybody's at. We already know that Mia passed away in The Best Man holiday. So I'm like, I wonder if they're going to incorporate her in some type of way. And to my surprise, they actually did, which I appreciated. So we all know, why are we here? It's because Q is getting married. At the end of The Best Man holiday, Q called everyone and told, well, at least he told the guys that he was going to be getting married. We did not know who he was going to be marrying. We did not know anything. That's where we left off. You guys, welcome Q and Ziamara, okay? I think I might actually review this couple by couple and then mix in some intertwined storylines. We'll see how this goes. So, starting with Q and Ziamara. Q was a whole other person. When we got to that island, he was very relaxed, very calm. He wasn't, joking around like he usually does. He was very zen-like. And that was because he met Ziamara. Ziamara was supposed to be like, honestly, she was better than Beyonce. I mean, she had won every award. She had done all these things because she was an actress, a philanthropist. She was a singer, and this and that. I said, well, girl, you got it all, don't you? You got it all covered. And she was practically an EGOT. So they were supposed to get married at one of the Spivey resorts that, Q is a part of. He owns it with his dad. I'm just like, oh, okay, this is nice. Everybody's looking good. Everybody showed up, of course, except Shelby. And that was short-lived because Shelby popped up unnecessarily. But she popped up, baby. Caused the scene. And then we got to see some back and forth banter between Shelby and Ziamara. The one thing that I loved was that Ziamara was up on game every time Shelby tried to do something with Q. She knew that, she had hooked up with Q. She knew that she did the whole stripper thing with Q and tried to send Shelby on her way. Like, I can't even lie. Like, I was surprised, especially because Nicole Ari Parker was the person who was playing this role. Like, I have not seen Nicole Ari Parker in something in a very long time. So seeing her, I was like, oh my gosh, look at her act. And she did a very good job. Honestly, everybody did a very good job this entire show. But yeah, she was really like on top of getting Shelby the hell up out of there. But I respected it because she wanted to marry Q. Her and Q would have been like, they tried to make it seem like it was going to be like a Jay-Z and Beyonce type partnership. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a successful businessman. He had all these resorts, all this and that going on for him. And Ziamara was like the it girl. She was the it celebrity. But of course, those two did not get married. And that is because Q decided to profess his love for Shelby. And, well, there was no space for Ziamara anymore. Now let's go ahead and move on to this whole Shelby and Q situation, because when she got to the resort, Shelby definitely made her presence known. I mean, her and Q even got to argue in the moment she walked in. Of course, she hooked up with this man that night for his bachelor party. She literally went to Candace and was like, teach me some of your old moves, so that way she can perform for him. And she did. I want to say it was to Freaking You by Jodeci. And I can't lie, she did a good job. She did a really good job. But after that, Ziamara got word and she sent her packing. But that wasn't the end of Shelby, y'all. Because when she got to that airport, and Q came running in there for her, and him letting her know how he finally felt, and then she expressed how she felt, I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. They're actually going to get together. But here's where things took a turn for me. Because I understand a wedding is very expensive. So, like I said, they were going to have this resort wedding. So he did not marry Xiomara, but he did marry Shelby. Keep in mind, Shelby has a whole daughter, y'all. Shelby has a whole daughter. And I'm like, so you mean to tell me you married this man and called your daughter on the phone to be like, oh, guess what, daughter? I married your Uncle Q. Oh, and what's crazy is that after that, after they got married, this is when it was revealed that Kennedy is actually Q's child. I said, now, hold on. I need to go back and watch The Best Man because honestly, I've only seen bits and pieces of that movie. I've never seen that movie in its entirety. But I'm like, how long ago was she messing around with him? Like, I thought, okay, at least when we first met these characters, I thought she was with Birch. And then by the time we got to Best Man Holiday, she was still trying to get on Birch's nerves. But then her and Q ain't like hooked up at the end. I need to go back and watch both of those movies. Ooh, maybe I should review both of those movies. Especially considering now I'm a real adult. So I have like, an inkling of what's really going on. Let me know in the comments, should I do that? But nonetheless, I guess for me, I'm just like, what is the timeline of her and Q hooking up? Because I'm confused. Nonetheless, so we actually got a timeline on the show from 2015, I want to say to like 2021 or something, where we got to see like what was going on in everybody's lives. Now, as far as what's her name? Shelby, actually, I forgot to mention, she was a housewife. Like, as far as like a housewife of some city, I can't think of what city they gave her, but like she was like an Andy Cohen housewife. Which was the perfect thing for her to be. So there's that. And then I guess she was no longer on the Housewives show. She got booted off of there. She did not have a job. She had to like figure out what to do. And then you have Q, who they created all these spivey resorts and all these things in different places. But COVID hit. So nobody's vacationing. The world shut down. So they were pretty much going in the negative. So they both was kind of, trying to figure out how they can get back on the up and up because they was about to be broke in a second. Now, this is one thing I will say about Shelby. Shelby, for me in this series, we got to see a lot of development with her character because I feel like from The Best Man Holiday, from what I can remember, again, another movie I only saw bits and pieces of, so she was like always kind of erratic, all over the place. Like, this was actually her honing into her womanhood, her realizing that, I'm a married woman now, we are a family. We got to see a softer side of Shelby, especially when it came to his dad. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we got to see a lot of growth when it came to Shelby's character. Because Shelby as a mom, I can respect it. She basically told her daughter, like, no, I'm not buying you expensive bags. I'm not doing this, that, another for you. Even though her daughter definitely finessed her way to getting expensive things. By the way, Q. And then when it came to, like, Q's health, you guys, Q had a huge health scare. And she was right there being his rock. And I'm like, wow. Like, honestly, Shelby is a whole other person. And the one thing that I really appreciated was we got to see her work with Jordan. And, there was a talk show idea that Jordan had. So she's like, you know what? We're going to throw Shelby in there. The first time Shelby went in there, she was very housewives, very dramatic, and that is not what they wanted the viewers to see. Also, the viewers weren't feeling her, so she goes back in, she goes back to her college days where we recall her being a smart woman, and boom, she's killing it on the TV show. And I was like, you know what, great for Shelby. I want to say that was pretty much all when it came to her and Q. They were in love, they were happy. I support them. I didn't think that would be like the couple I would really be rooting for, but they were really cute together. One thing I will say about their daughter though, how materialistic she was. I did not expect anything different considering Shelby was her mother. I wish that we would have gotten a little bit of a change in her, but that never happened because baby girl was always trying to get some type of fly bag. Let's go ahead and move on. I think I want to move on to Merc. Yeah, Merch and Candace. All right, first things first. I will say I was quite impressed considering, Merch. He now has, what was it, 2 schools that were going to be opening. We had Candace, who was back in school trying to get her PhD, extremely successful. They have 2 daughters. One thing I will say, let me just talk about the daughters real quick. I did like seeing them touch on black girls having anxiety because that's not something that we usually see on TV, and which is an absolute thing that happens. So I did like seeing that. I will say it's interesting to see how different the daughters were. They were absolutely different, especially when it came down to that situation with the Karen. I will say this about those 2 characters. I did not expect for them to be so into the medicines, the other medicines, if you know what I mean. I did not expect that. Like, I was surprised. Now, when it comes to Merc's character, I will say that I thought that he would be the best man to Q because I thought that him and Q were closer, even though he did take, Merc's ex-girlfriend. I just thought that for some reason. Because when he had all the connections when it came to the bachelor party for Q, he had all the connections and Harper had none. So I'm like, what is Harper doing? Nonetheless, I will say that he was one of the people who tried to keep certain characters accountable, which I absolutely supported. But it was also interesting to see how his character got lost in the shuffle. Like, all his friends are doing whatever they're doing. But what's going on with Merch? He's taking care of the girls, not finding time for himself. When it comes to his wife, they weren't even really seeing eye to eye because she was so focused on getting her degree. But he actually found, out of all the things, MMA fighting. I was like, who would have ever thought that he would be interested in MMA fighting? But I did like that storyline because it was different. And I fully supported it because he had to find something that could be his own thing. Him admitting that he felt some type of way about the way he was portrayed in that movie. I feel like this. When it comes to Merch and that friendship, because he's always the nice guy, they just don't really respect him. And I'm just like, y'all have been friends for, at this point, 20 years? Y'all should, put a little bit more respect on this man's name. Come on now. It's not like he's just latching on to be y'all friends as if he's some type of flunky. No, this man is successful. What's happening here? Now, when it comes to Candace, okay, here's my thing. I know that they try to make her really focus on getting her PhD, but I really wanted to see what else Candace had going on. Because for the best man, we met her as a stripper who was, paying her way through college. Best man holiday, I have no idea what happened with Candace. I want to say she was just a mom, and now she's helping him out with these schools. But I just wish she would have had her own thing that she had going on besides the alternative medicine. Y'all know what I'm saying? I do like the reverse of, instead of her not feeling like she was being supported, it was that Merch wasn't feeling like he was being supported. But again, I still wanted Candace to thrive and do something. I don't know. Now, when it came to her professor, he was a creep. I did not appreciate that at all. Yeah, I was quite upset with that scene. But I also like that they showed that this can happen to anybody at any age. You know what I'm saying? Because most of the time, it's always portrayed as some young person who's fresh and naive. They don't know what's going on. That is who is assaulted. But no, this assault can happen at any age. And I like that they showed that on the show. Now, let me go ahead and move on. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Jordan, y'all. So, Jordan, she is still on top of her game. She's still killing it. I will say that when we saw her at the resort and she was flirting with that guy, I thought something more was going to happen, but it didn't. which I was kind of upset about. But then he was kind of weird because he was into all that weird stuff. So yeah, that would have been kind of strange. But nonetheless, I wanted more for Jordan. There is no way you're going to tell me that we have been all these years, and I absolutely understand that she was career driven, but she should have ended up in love by the end of this series. Am I the only one who feels like this? Justice for Jordan. And Harper is not the love that she needed. And it for sure wasn't that ugly black man that they chose for her. I don't even know his name. I just know I think he's been on Power before. Yeah, he was a love interest to Tasha on Power. I didn't see it for him then. Don't see it for that man now. No, thank you. But when it comes to her, her character being so career driven, and even how she was like showing her assistant, like, you have to do this, that, and other, it was pretty cool to see her be a boss. I ain't even gonna lie. But for her to have health scares and all these things, I did like that they showed that, hey, black women, don't overwork yourself because your health should be priority. I did enjoy seeing that. Her realizing that, I will say. I love to see how Shelby was there for her, supporting her. One thing that I will say, which kind of goes back to talking about her love life, I hate that there have been no new men added to this group. This group started out, at least from what I can recall from The Best Man, it has always been Harper and whoever he's dating. You have Lance had Mia, Birch had Candace and Shelby, kind of, and Q was just an all-around playboy, right? But when it comes to the women, we have not seen anybody bring anyone to the group. Like, we did not see Shelby bring another guy into the group, because it's not like she wasn't like friends with Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Where we could have integrated a new guy. Same thing with Jordan. Jordan never introduced a new guy to the group, which I thought was very interesting. Like, I would have loved to see her meet somebody else and live her best life. The part that really hurt my feelings was when she thought she was pregnant, which I'm just like, y'all, who was gonna be the daddy? Please let me know. Was it the ugly guy who I'm talking about? Because who did she hook up with? I can't recall. But nonetheless, when she thought she was pregnant, she was like, oh, this might have been like my last chance, to have a family or whatever. I really did feel bad for her, but I wish that they would have at least had her look into like adoption, or have her look into, fostering, or even having, I don't know, a surrogate deciding to have kids on her own. I don't know. I think that would have been an interesting storyline. Like, if we would have had like her deciding like, oh, well, I would still want to move forward and have kids regardless of having a husband or not. I think that would have been a very interesting storyline. Now, when it comes to her and Harper, y'all, can we please let that dream go? I did not like it. I wasn't interested in it. I'm like, why are y'all still hanging out after hours? Like, no, I'm not interested in it. And then for his wife to now feel threatened, which I'm going to get to them in a second, but like for the wife to feel threatened by you, and it's been, 20 years? That's crazy to me. But one thing that I will say about Jordan's character, the way that she supported LJ, I was here for it, because regardless of, Lance being extremely religious, I guess you could say, and not understanding where his child was coming from, she was still supportive of LJ. And, she made sure it was known that she was supportive. Like, I appreciated that, especially considering, they don't have their mother anymore. So, there's a struggle there. So that she can, step in and be that mothering figure, I appreciated that. I really did. Now, this brings me to Lance. Y'all, first off, let me start by saying this. When the show first started, again, I did not realize that we were starting back in 2015. So I'm just like, well, how long has Mia been dead for you to be in hotel rooms banging up all these women as if your wife isn't dead, as if you don't have children to raise? I feel like he should have had a lot going on besides hooking up with random women, especially considering he was like raw dogging half of them. No. Bye, Lance. Goodbye, Lance. No, he hooked up with everybody, whether it be in the city, whether it be on the island. The man was just out here doing everybody. Now, that was until he met Jasmine. You guys, I really did like Jasmine's character because, she was very beautiful, but she really tried to keep it strictly platonic with him the whole time. I respected that from her. Now, when it came down to Lance's character overall, I feel like we did not know what Lance's storyline was going to be. I really feel that way because besides him hooking up with all those women, it was like, okay, what he got going on? Then he tried to have like his football career a comeback. I'm just like, sir, at this big age, you like 50 years old, cut it out. That wasn't gonna work. Now, one thing that I would like to point out real quick is the fact that we did get to see Mia, you guys, while he was on that resort. They had a flashback, not even a flashback, I'm sorry. He was dreaming of him and Mia being there on vacation. And I absolutely love that because as we know, Monica Calhoun, who is an amazing actress, she stepped away from acting, years ago because I believe she wanted to take care of her son who has disabilities. So she stepped away from acting. I want to say she's only come back for The Best Man. So I love that she was still incorporated, even though it was, one or two scenes. I really appreciated that because I love Monica Calhoun. But I will say I did appreciate the way Lance and Jasmine's relationship went because she was not interested in him being a retired football player. She was not interested in any of those things. The relationship wasn't rushed, especially considering he didn't get back in contact with her until episode 8. No, episode 8 was the last episode. Like episode 7 or so, when he got back in contact with Jasmine, and then they were, slowly but surely figuring out if they wanted to date. I was like, okay, I can appreciate that because at that point, time had passed. This is I think like 4 or 5 years had passed. I was all here for it. Now, Lance and his son. Keep in mind, I said his son because I want to go from LJ being him, he, to they, them. So, starting off, he had all these dreams for LJ. He thought that LJ was going to be the second coming of him, which a lot of men do. Hell, if we really want to be technical, the way these rappers be with their sons, I could do a whole video on that. But you know what? That is for another time. He thought that LJ was going to be this football sensation the same way he was. However, LJ had his own desires, and we saw that when he started working with Jordan. I think he must have been like an intern or something. And one day, LJ decided to be themselves and showed up dressed to the nines, looking amazing, makeup, all of that. And I will say that I appreciated the fact that, again, Jordan was very supportive. And she did not rat LJ out to all the other adults or even to Lance. She kept that between them. Now, what's crazy to me is how LJ and Kennedy, they were like besties. Doing each other's makeup, hair, all that stuff. But I hated how Burke's kids felt some type of way when they were around those other kids because they felt like they weren't, the top-notch people. Like, they don't have money like that. They not flaunting all these Chanel bags and all this designer and all this stuff. And I'm like, I wish they would have dived a little bit deeper on that situation. Because let's be honest, these types of things happens to where you have adults that are friends, but they have children that are all around the same age. But that does not mean that they are friends or that, they even rock with each other like that. And unfortunately, even though all these people, say that they're so close, the same way Merch, I want to keep on calling him Merc. The same way that Merch felt like an outsider, his children also felt like outsiders. And I'm just like, wow, that is crazy. So I don't know. I just felt like there should be a discussion there. But nonetheless, let me circle back up to this situation. When Q decided to call everybody and their mama, when he found LJ, I want to say with makeup on or like dancing or something like that, and he, called everybody and everybody knew about it except for Lance. And then for Lance to find out and for him to blow up the way that he did, multiple occasions, I'm like, whoa, okay, this is a lot. And then for Lance to be like, oh, I'm gonna, buy you only masculine clothes and all this stuff. But then again, I had to remember, he's coming from that old school mindset, especially if I can recall, wasn't he supposed to be all Christian or something? Even though he out here sleeping around with everybody. I feel like, again, he does not understand that, first of all, LJ was their own person. And secondly, it took a while for Lance to be accepting. Oh, I almost forgot what made him even accept LJ. That was because LJ went missing. Y'all, LJ goes missing. And then we have a whole search team, all this going on. And I was just like, Lance, this is all bad for you. Like, you got to get it together. Because at this point, if LJ does something that, can't be taken back, what are you going to do? Because that's you losing not only Mia, but also your firstborn child. Or if you just never see LJ again. Because a lot of, people have to run away because they don't feel seen in their own family. So it would have been a lose-lose situation. But of course, they located LJ. Now, when it comes to LJ's friend, though, I cannot lie. I understand the correcting of the pronouns, but I just feel like in that situation, they were Aggie. Because, like, I don't know, I just feel like when a parent is panicking and that they lost their child and, like, they're thinking the worst, this was not the time for you to be playing around with pronouns. But I'm just saying. I mean, as me as a person, I'm just like, I get it. He don't say it right, but please just give him any type of direction. Also, I found it interesting that even though LJ, I guess you could say disappointed his dad, I just found it interesting that it was actually a pastor who helped LJ accept themselves for who they were. And I will say, I think that also helped Lance understand a little bit more that, like, listen, if a pastor can understand what is happening, maybe I can open up my heart, open up my eyes and see that I still need to love LJ for whoever LJ is. You know what I'm saying? So, I appreciated that. I will say I liked when they were on the red carpet. The whole family was on the red carpet. And, Lance was extremely supportive of LJ and the whole family. I just kind of wish we could have got another storyline for the other kids, especially that one little girl who had a breakdown because she was trying to decorate for Christmas or take down the decorations from Christmas, and she was like, Mom always did it. I broke an ornament. I feel like we could have, had something going on there. Like, I feel like there should have been a storyline there. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what we got. That pretty much wraps up Lance for me. Let me go ahead and talk about Harper and Robin. Y'all, can we be honest? Robin has never fully been, pushed into this group or accepted into this group because she has always been second best to, what's her name? Jordan. Since the movie started. Because first, she was with Harper's girlfriend. I don't know, y'all. I gotta go back and watch The Best Man. I'm telling you, I only saw bits and pieces of that movie. I really need to go back and see it. So, I want to say she started off as Harper's girlfriend, maybe fiance when we first met them. Can't really recall. That's what she found out because the book came out. That's what she found out about who Jordan was and who she started putting, faces to the characters. Come to find out, oh, Jordan was the one that got away in college. Okay, cool. We come back to the best man holiday. Jordan is still the one that got away. So you still playing second fiddle and you are pregnant. Like, y'all are married, y'all got a baby, and you are still number 2. Here we come back a whole lot later, okay? Whole lot later. And again, you are still number 2. Like, I'm sorry, there is no way that Harper and Jordan should still be a potential thing after all this time. It's been 20 years since these people been in college. If he don't let that go, I'm sorry, that made no sense. Now, I will say this. I thought Robin was going to hook up with somebody else on so many occasions throughout this series. That woman on the beach who was cooking thought they were going to have a rendezvous. The guy who was selling her fruits and vegetables thought they were going to have a rendezvous. I'm just like, why did we get that storyline? Because Robin and old boy, that was a whole lot better than her and Harper. Now, when it comes to Robin and Harper's relationship, and then I'll go into Harper and his individual shenanigans. When it comes to Robin and Harper's relationship, they were never on equal playing field, but also I felt like Robin wanted a lot of things, but she was not accepting of the things that Harper was willing to provide. Okay, you decide that you want to start up your own, what was it, like a food service that she had? Kind of like a Hello Fresh type cooking thing. He supported that. You had a whole business. You have one incident. Well, I don't want to say one incident. Let me not say that. I'll take that back. You have Black Lives Matter happen, and then you decide to try to be super pro-black, protest everything. Ain't never been this pro-black in your life. I'm talking about the character, not the person. But, you know, super pro-black. You out here getting arrested in front of your daughter. Like, Robin was doing a lot. Now, when it came to her not getting that restaurant, I felt bad for her because Harper wanted to do research on it or something like that before, you know, they bought it, which makes sense to me. You cannot just go in blindly because someone shows you, oh, you know, you can have your restaurant here or whatever. It's just like, Robin, when did you even want to have a restaurant here? Like, I don't know. It was just a lot to me because I felt like Robin was fighting for a place. Robin has been fighting for a place in Harper's life as well as her own life because cooking clearly did not make her happy. Let's be honest. Cooking did not make her happy because she was always trying to find something else. She was never satisfied. Because if you already have your what is it called? Your meal prep, whatever that was, business. Okay, you already have one restaurant. It's not like she was trying to open up like a second location and then she would have all these things going on or have a cookbook, do some type of other things online. Like, no, that is not what she was doing. Like, I would have respected it more if Robin, you know, decided to be a content creator and start baking online. Like, I just could not with her character. Then for her to be mad that Harper wanted to buy them a nice house that was in, you know, like a better neighborhood or whatever. I'm just like, how are you mad? Because he wants you to be better. Like, I just feel like the things that Harper was doing for her, it wasn't all bad. You know what I'm saying? And because he didn't move fast enough for you to get that restaurant location, like, I don't even feel like she ever expressed to Harper, like, oh, Harper, I plan on building more restaurants. I plan on doing this. I plan on doing that. Honestly, I feel like both of them just kept springing things on each other. Like, oh, I just saw a beautiful place. Let's move there. Oh, I just saw a restaurant. Let me go ahead and go buy that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just sorry. That just made no sense to me. The way they would just spring things on each other, but there was no prior discussions of how, like, the next couple of years, what do we see ourselves doing? I thought that was strange. Now, when it comes to them finally deciding to go their separate ways, y'all, okay, first off, Tay Diggs must have been filming what's that one show he's on, All American, because he was missing in like 2 episodes or something. I'm like, how's he so MIA? All he is a writer, and considering they didn't really want him to be on set like that, what's happening here? But nonetheless, Robin got very lonely in that relationship, but also I feel like, where was your friends at, girl? Like, where was Shelby? Where was Candace? But then that makes me circle back to Robin was never fully in the circle. She wasn't. Yeah, they liked Harper and they would tolerate her, but she was not fully in the circle like that. I'm just saying. Now, I will say this. When it comes to her this final decision of we're getting a divorce, her deciding I'm going to pack up and move to Ghana blew my mind. I'm like, what? I don't even understand this anymore. Like, I feel like that divorce proceeding would have went absolutely fine. He's like, let him have this, let him have that. He wasn't even really fighting her on nothing. But one thing that I will say is that as many times as we say Black children need both parents in the household, keep in mind I said both parents, and I'm not saying a father and a mother, because that excludes same-sex parents, and I don't do that over here. We're not excluding people. Now, we always talk about everyone needs to come from this 2-parent household, blah, 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 but okay, people get divorces. But one thing that I will say is, how much of like fathering can he really do with his child being miles and miles and miles away? Because let's be honest, a trip to Africa is not like a trip from him going from New York to Atlanta. Let's not act like that's the same thing. It's not. Her deciding of all places, Ghana, I don't know how we got there. Like, I don't know. I just wanted more for Robin's character. And I also wanted more for their relationship. Because I always knew that in game they would get a divorce. But I just wish that it did not play out like this. Especially once she read that stupid piece of paper and then realized, oh, it's still about Jordan. I said, you know what? I can't. Throw them away. Just throw them away. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Harper real quick. I will say this. Harper, not a good best man. Not the first time, not this time. He had no connections, no nothing. His overall character, him getting that movie deal, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. They want to make a movie. He tried to get, everybody's approval, blah, blah, blah. But when that trailer came out and he didn't see how his friends would really feel, especially Merch, I'm just like, so we never got the conversation. We never got the conversation between Harper and Merch where he's like, you know what, I'm sorry that the direction of the movie went like this. Never. And I'm just like, I don't like that about his character. Another thing, I just wish that the same way Harper was so involved with how Q had changed and how Lance was out of control, all this stuff, I wish that he would have used that same energy to hone in on what was wrong with his relationship with Robin. Because there was never a temperature check with them. It was like they never really checked in on each other to see where each other's head was at. They would just throw ideas out there and then that caused an argument. It just didn't make sense to me. So overall, he decided he wanted to write something new. I don't even know. At the end, he did put that out. Him and, what's her name, Jordan, still never hooked up. Thank God. I think she deserves better. He's now divorced. The movie came out. The child lives in Ghana. And that was pretty much the series. I feel like there should be more things that I have to say about Harper, but this review is super long. So go ahead and comment, and subscribe to my channel. And let me know what y'all thought about The Best Man final chapters. Let me know if I should review The Best Man and maybe a little bit of The Best Man Holiday. And on that note, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.